Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wolfpacker Show. My name's Ethan McDowell, and I am joined, as I always am, by Noah Fleischman. Today, we are recording a special emergency edition of the Wolfpacker Show because the Wolfpacker.com has learned that sophomore quarterback MJ Morris intends to take a red shirt this year. We are recording this Monday at 10:47 a.m. I'm putting that disclaimer in because the news has not officially broken yet, and any developments that come past 10:47 a.m. We don't know about yet. So anything that we find out later in the day, we will discuss that on Thursday's show. But we did want to, get out ahead and give our initial reactions to this news. A source informed the Wolfpacker that MJ Morris met with the staff Sunday and told them that he intended, after playing the past 4 games, to redshirt this year and preserve his sophomore season of eligibility. This has a huge impact on the last 3 games of the season, 4 if you count the bowl game, obviously. He's the starting quarterback of NC State football, and now the Wolfpack likely has to turn to Brennan Armstrong, who they benched after a 13-10 loss to Louisville earlier this year. Noah, your initial thoughts upon hearing the news that MJ will redshirt this year?
I was surprised. I didn't think this was going to happen. Obviously, at the beginning of the year, the plan was to stay or to redshirt and just sit the year and sit behind Brennan. And then obviously, as Dave Doran said when they named him the starter, plans changed. And so it's definitely a surprise. Unclear at the moment of whether this means he's staying or going. We don't know the answer to that question. It just means he's shutting it down for the year. There's probably a lot of unanswered questions still, but this isn't the worst case scenario for NC State having Brennan Armstrong on the bench, a reliable backup that can come in and start and play well at times. So we'll see if this 4-game stretch, helped kind of reset Brennan too. We'll find out. But yeah, it's definitely a surprise. I don't think we saw this coming. MJ Morris, he's been talking. He talked to us, last week and seemed really excited. But something must have changed, and it's time to sit. He'll preserve this year. So 3 years of eligibility to play with moving forward.
Yeah, and it's interesting, and first and foremost, what we got to say at the top of this show is MJ's doing what he believes is best for him, and that's good. That's a good thing. I know it's disappointing for NC State fans, but MJ is doing what's best for him. So, got to emphasize: do not tweet at MJ. Do not, comment on his Instagram. Do not reach out to MJ. He is doing what is best for MJ Morris, and that's the most important thing here. So, whatever's next for him, we're first and foremost wishing him well. But this obviously changes the outlook of the season as well. Now, you turn to Brennan Armstrong under center, who was up and down in his starts so far this year. He completed 58.8% of his passes through 5 touchdowns and 6 interceptions over 5 starts. Those throwing numbers leave a lot to be desired on the ground. Even, playing in a reserve role over the past few games, he still leads NC State in rushing. He has he's averaging something like, 4.2 yards per carry. He scored 3 times. He had 8 carries for 51 yards against Miami on Saturday, and he's a very physical, tough runner, and he'll be able to contribute absolutely on the ground. It's more of a question of how does this impact NC State's offense through the air, which I'm going to be interested to see. And for me, I'm not sure it totally impacts my view of the season. I mean, I think MJ is a more talented passer. I don't think that's really that much of a debate, and had a little more poise in the pocket so far this season. Obviously, the offense wasn't playing at an elite level anyways. So I think as long as Armstrong can minimize mistakes, not turn the ball over, and show that poise under pressure, because teams are going to blitz them. Teams have been blitzing MJ and Brennan all season long. So it's all about just being able to handle, that pressure, minimize mistakes, and not put NC State's defense, which is playing at an elite level, in uncomfortable situations. So, Noah, how does this impact your view of the home stretch of the season here?
It doesn't really, and here's why. Looking at the numbers about, difference between Brennan and MJ, they're kind of similar right now in what they've done on the field this year through the air. MJ, he's been kind of up and down a little bit. He does have 5 interceptions, but he hasn't, it hasn't been, that bad. He had 3 in his first start, and most of them weren't his fault. But you look at it, Brennan can go down the field, and MJ has not found success pushing the ball down the field 20 yards or more. He only has 1 completion through the air of 20 yards or more this season, according to PFF. Brennan's had a little bit more success. MJ, I think, might be a better decision maker and not putting the ball in harm's way. But at the same time, Brennan will do that and can get the ball in tight windows. So he'll force it, and it's you're playing with fire. Sometimes it burns you, sometimes it doesn't. So I think that's fine. Brennan's experience, I don't think that'll rattle him, and he's handled this well. They've got 3 games to play: Wake Forest, Virginia Tech, UNC. Virginia Tech's an interesting one because Brennan Armstrong's never beaten the Hokies. They'll go to Lane Stadium. It'll be his last shot at Virginia Tech, and I think that'll be an interesting thing to watch, down the stretch. Obviously, Wake Forest this weekend, a tough place to play for NC State. They haven't won there in like 3 or 4 trips. So that'll be interesting. But I don't think it changes the outlook too much. It's not like this offense is lighting up the scoreboard by any means the past 4 weeks. They had, 48 points against Marshall, and then since then, their most they scored is 24. So that's interesting. And then the team is second to last in yards per game on offense in the ACC. Pitt is behind them, and it's by like 5 yards, 4 yards. So that's that. I think Brennan can step in and do very similar things. And they've changed the game plan since he left. When they had him in, it was kind of, a lot of different guys playing. Now the receiver rotation is very limited, and the plan is to get Kevin Concepcion on the ball. And he was Brennan's favorite target when Brennan was playing. So I don't think that really changes how NC State approaches this offense either. So it'll be interesting to watch. But this is not the worst case scenario when you have a 6th-year quarterback on the bench rather than having to play a true freshman in Lex Thomas.
Yeah, and you had a pretty good situation going into the year. That's why they brought Brennan in. You had 2 guys that you were very comfortable with playing against good competition. Now, I mean, the quarterback room is razor thin. Like you have Brennan, and then after that, you have walk-on Ethan Rhodes, who has played in 1 game this season, and true freshman Lex Thomas, who has not played in a game yet this season. We'll hopefully get clarity later this week on who will be the backup quarterback moving forward, but it's concerning without a doubt. I mean, Noah, you look at it, and now it's like, shoot, like you're going to have to run Brennan. That's going to be a huge part of the offense. It's got to be. But you also have to weigh the injury risk here, right? Because now if he gets hurt, what happens? What's the plan? It's going to be very interesting to hear more about that this week. I'm going to be, very interested. I mean, and if you look at it, like I don't really know that much about Ethan Rhodes. He obviously wasn't asked to do that much when he came into the game at the end of the VMI contest. And then Lex Thomas is someone I followed his recruitment. He's he was a solid 3-star recruit out of high school, and he's obviously a Thomas brother. So Drake and Thayer are his older brothers. So he has that legacy. And if you've learned anything as an NC State fan, it's get excited when there's a Thomas brother on the field. But we obviously haven't seen him compete at the collegiate level yet. So a lot of unknowns behind Brennan, but the good part is Brennan is a big known quantity. We know exactly pretty much what we're going to get out of Brennan Armstrong for the rest of the season when he suits up for NC State this Saturday. It's going to be a frantic week. I think this was a surprise. It was certainly a surprise to me, certainly a surprise to Noah, that this all unfolded over the past 24 hours. But let's look a little towards the future. Now, after this year, Brennan's gone. This is his last season of eligibility. If MJ comes back, then you're in good shape. You have a redshirt sophomore signal caller who, with 3 years of eligibility remaining, despite having played 9 collegiate games, which is pretty solid. And then you have to think, okay, if he doesn't come back, next year you would have Ethan Rhodes and Lex Thomas, plus Cedric Bailey Jr., your 3-star quarterback commit in the 2024 class. That is, based on the conversations I've had in the past 24 hours, I think they would look to the portal. I think that's a pretty safe connection to draw here. Which, man, that has a huge impact on the offseason. You have to put a lot of resources into recruiting the portal quarterback market, right? Like everyone wants the best quarterbacks in the transfer portal. So you're going to have to put so much time and energy into recruiting a quarterback this cycle. How does that impact the next couple months for NC State? I don't know. That's going to be something that we have to monitor. But no, they're going to have to bring in a transfer if MJ decides to depart, right?
Definitely. I mean, when you look at it, if he leaves, I don't think that you have one appearance, this year with Ethan Rhodes. Lex Thomas, I don't think is ready yet. Cedric Bailey, I don't think they really want to start a true freshman quarterback, in play with that. So I think definitely to the portal, they're gonna find somebody with veteran. I wouldn't be surprised if they look for somebody with 2 years of experience, with 2 years of eligibility left, not one. So you can kind of avoid it, bridge the gap, develop your young quarterbacks behind them. And then when that guy were to leave, then you can look at Lex Thomas, Cedric Bailey, or Will Wilson, who will show up and kind of go from there. So I think the quarterback room of the future is young. It's talented. But next year is going to be the year you got to need to bridge the gap, maybe the following year as well. So I think a 2-year eligibility guy would probably work best. And it's also good for the offense too, because Dave Doran talked about it. Brennan Armstrong came in here with 1 year of eligibility. It's hard to kind of build relationships when you're only here for a calendar year, right? He shows up in January, he'll be done December. So, I think that's something that plays a factor. And, 2-year eligibility guy, there's going to be in the portal. There's going to be quarterbacks in the portal. So I think that's a good thing, right? It's not a position that's hard to find. And, it's just a hard position to nail getting the right one. I think that's because you're only going to bring in one. So you got to hit, because if you miss, it's going to be a really long year. So that's the biggest thing moving forward, I think, is going to the portal and watching that. Luckily, NC State found success in the portal, and I think they'll go back there and hopefully, find a quarterback that can fit their system and fit what they want to do. Brennan showed he can do that. He also had, some inconsistencies as well. You live with that, but we'll see. But portal's definitely gonna happen if he leaves. If he doesn't leave, then I think they're fine.
Yeah. And that's an important disclaimer here that just because he has decided to redshirt does not necessarily mean he is going to transfer. We have not received intel one way or the other on that. So I just want to stress that at again 11 a.m. on the dot. So that's the info we have as of this morning, Monday morning, and we'll share everything else on the wolfpacker.com. Go check it out. I'm going to be posting a lot about this, giving a little background as soon as it breaks. Go check it out. It's only $1 to join our premium message board where I'll be posting this info and read some analysis on Brennan by Noah that he has ready to go up as well. That's the show. That's we just wanted to make sure we hopped on the microphones and gave you guys a little bit of insight into what is happening right now with NC State football. But yeah, it's going to be a busy week. I mean, on top of all of this quarterback news, basketball starts tonight. Noah will be there. Make sure you're following him on Twitter. I'm following along on our site. It's going to be an eventful week, and we'll be here to, add a little context to all of it. Thank you all for listening. Check out the wolfpacker.com. And we didn't get to do an ad read during this show, but thanks to our sponsor, Game Time. It's the Game Time app. If you check it out, go use code Wolfpack. That's all caps Wolfpack for $20 off your first purchase. Buy tickets to any football, basketball, hockey game, anything you could possibly ask for. And before we head out, just want to emphasize again, MJ's doing what's best for him, and that's a good thing. Please do not reach out to him, tweet at him, anything like that. Best of luck to MJ with whatever steps are next for him. And thank you all for listening.